The war in the Pacific was fierce and unforgiving, marked by relentless combat and unimaginable hardship. After the attack on Pearl Harbor in 1941, the United States and Japan fought across the vast oceans and countless islands, each battle more intense than the last. Battles like Iwo Jima and Okinawa were long, bloody and costly for both sides. Soldiers and civilians suffered greatly, enduring unimaginable losses and trauma. Japanese forces showed remarkable determination and resilience. Many soldiers fought to the end, refusing to surrender even when defeat seemed certain. On some islands, entire civilian populations were drawn into the fighting. This resistance made each battle harder and more costly for everyone involved. American leaders saw the heavy losses and wondered how much more would be needed to end the war. The closer the Allies came to Japan, the tougher and more desperate the fighting became. Bombing raids destroyed much of Tokyo and other cities, but Japan's leaders did not give in, holding out despite the devastation. By the summer of 1945, both nations were exhausted and battered. Yet the end was not in sight, and hope for peace seemed distant. The violence of the war shaped every decision made in the months that followed, leaving scars that would last for generations. President Harry S. Truman faced a terrible and historic choice in 1945, one that would shape the future of warfare and the world. American military leaders warned him that invading Japan could cost hundreds of thousands of American lives, both soldiers and civilians. Some estimates were even higher, painting a grim picture of what a land invasion might mean. They believed Japanese soldiers and civilians would fight to the last person, refusing to surrender. The United States had developed a new and powerful weapon, the atomic bomb, which promised to change the course of the war. The Manhattan Project, a secret effort by American, British, and Canadian scientists, had succeeded in creating it. Leaders saw it as a way to end the war quickly, save countless lives, and avoid a drawn-out conflict. On July 26, 1945, the Allies issued the Potsdam Declaration. It called for Japan's surrender and warned of prompt and utter destruction if they refused to comply with the terms. Japan's leaders did not accept. Many historians believe communication problems, internal disagreements, and hopes for better surrender terms delayed their response to the ultimatum. Truman's advisors debated what to do next. Some wanted a demonstration of the bomb's power on an uninhabited area. Others pushed for an immediate strike on Japanese cities. In the end, the decision was made. The bomb would be used to force Japan's surrender and bring World War II to a decisive close. On August 6, 1945, the American bomber Enola Gay flew over the Japanese city of Hiroshima. At 8:15 a.m., it dropped a uranium bomb called Little Boy, the first atomic weapon ever used in war. The explosion destroyed nearly everything within a 2-kilometer radius, leaving the city in ruins. About 70,000 people are believed to have died instantly in the blast. Many more were injured or died later from severe burns and radiation exposure. 3 days later, on August 9th, another bomber, Boxcar, traveled to the city of Nagasaki. It carried a plutonium bomb called Fat Man, which was even more powerful. Due to clouds and navigation changes, the bomb was dropped over a different part of the city than originally planned. Around 40,000 people died at once, with thousands more dying in the weeks and months that followed. The destruction was massive and overwhelming. Hospitals, schools, temples, and countless homes vanished in an instant. Survivors faced fires, injuries, and confusion as they searched for loved ones. Rescue efforts began immediately, but resources were scarce, and the effects of radiation were not yet understood by anyone. In the days after the bombings, the world began to realize just how powerful and dangerous atomic weapons truly were. The bombing of Hiroshima was not the only shock Japan faced in August of 1945. On August 8th, the Soviet Union declared war on Japan. Soviet troops quickly moved into Japanese-held territory in Manchuria and Korea. This was, a new and unexpected front for Japan. Japan's leaders now faced two overwhelming crises. The atomic bombings showed the terrible new power of American weapons. The Soviet invasion threatened to split the nation and end hopes for a managed surrender. On August 15th, Emperor Hirohito spoke to the Japanese people on the radio. He announced that Japan would accept the Potsdam terms and surrender. The war, which had claimed millions of lives, was finally over. For many Japanese, the emperor's words were the first time they had heard his voice. The surrender ended years of fighting and hardship, but it also began a new era, one of rebuilding and reflection. The bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki killed more than 100,000 people immediately. Over time, the toll rose as survivors, known as hibakusha, faced cancer, illness, and psychological trauma from radiation exposure. Many families lost loved ones or were separated forever. Hospitals struggled to treat burns and injuries. Doctors and nurses, many of whom were also victims, did their best with limited supplies. Survivors often faced discrimination and loneliness. The effects of radiation sometimes passed to the next generation, causing fear and sorrow for families. Yet the people of both cities found strength in each other. Volunteers rebuilt homes and opened schools. Memorials were created to honor the dead. Over the years, Hiroshima and Nagasaki became cities of peace, dedicated to warning the world about the dangers of nuclear weapons. By remembering the suffering and survival of their communities, the people of Hiroshima and Nagasaki continue to teach the world about hope and resilience. The decision to use atomic bombs is one of history's most debated actions. Some historians say the bombs ended the war quickly and saved lives that would have been lost in a full-scale invasion. They argue that Japan's leaders were not ready to surrender and that the bombings forced a decision. Others believe alternatives existed. Some officials suggested a demonstration of the bomb's power on an uninhabited island, or a change in surrender terms. Critics argue that Japan was already near defeat and that the bombings caused unnecessary suffering. The debate continues in books, classrooms, and memorials. There is no simple answer. The story of Hiroshima and Nagasaki reminds us that decisions made in war can have lasting and tragic results. It teaches us to think carefully about the cost of peace and the use of force. Most agree that learning from this history is important, so such weapons are never used again. Hiroshima and Nagasaki are more than places of tragedy. They have become symbols of hope and peace. Each year, survivors share their stories with students and visitors. The cities host peace ceremonies, calling for a world without nuclear weapons. International treaties and organizations have formed to prevent nuclear war. The bombings changed how nations think about war, science, and responsibility. Many leaders today visit the memorials to honor the dead and reflect on the consequences of their choices. The legacy of Hiroshima and Nagasaki is a call to remember the past and protect the future. The survivors' courage and the city's rebuilding remind us that peace is possible, even after great loss. The lessons learned here continue to shape discussions about war, ethics, and the value of every human life. Remembering Hiroshima and Nagasaki is not just about looking back. It is about choosing peace every day. The world still faces the threat of nuclear weapons and war. The stories of those who lived through 1945 urge us to reflect, to listen, and to learn. We honor the memory of those who suffered by working for a better future. Education, understanding, and dialogue are powerful tools for peace. The responsibility to prevent such tragedies rests with all of us. As we walk through peaceful cities today, let us remember the lessons of 1945. Let us choose remembrance over forgetting and hope over fear. In doing so, we can help ensure that the horrors of Hiroshima and Nagasaki are never repeated.